Deepfake videos of actress not just Rashmika Mandanna but also Katrina Kaif over the week sparked concerns, controversy on the use of artificial intelligence that can spread misinformation, disinformation. Highly believable piece of information cannot and should not be believed. The Ministry of Electronics and IT issued advisory to social media platforms circling the legal provisions that cover such deepfakes and the penalties for creating it as well as articulating it. Now, what are deepfakes? Now, remember, deepfakes are more sophisticated, morphed content. They require more data, facial, physical expressions, and they target individuals. Deepfake technology utilizes advanced machine learning algorithms to create or manipulate videos or content, hence making them harder to detect and also therefore harder to correct. Kartik, Krishna, deepfake controversy started raging on now, has been a persistent problem in this country for a while now, at least last 3 to 4 years since we can trace the origin of deepfake. Elections are around the corner. Deepfake is no more just about individuals, it's about what it can do to democracy.
Right. No doubt about that. I think the first real issue of deepfakes emerged in 2019 US elections. And that is when we saw these morphed deepfake videos of very influential people emerge, and sort of making a very, very strong case for some regulation around deepfakes, and hence, by origin, some sort of regulation on artificial intelligence. Now, India's own Digital India bill is pending, hasn't yet been, presented, tabled in Parliament. And back home with the election season, it's a much larger concern than perhaps, I don't want to sound misogynistic, but perhaps it's a much deeper concern than faces of actors, actresses, being used
Absolutely.
or misused. So I think the threat on democracy is definitely much higher. You can get videos of politicians, which suggest things they have not said, which use their voice, use their expressions, use their accent, and use content which is created and which is not something that has originally emerged from those people. And convince a large section of society out there, a large voting section of society out there, to believe in things that were actually never meant to be said and physically never said. So the conversation on deepfakes has to very, very clearly graduate from where it is right now, that it is actors, actresses, faces getting morphed, entertainment content emerging. I think the real threat of deepfake is far beyond that, like you mentioned, democracy being at stake. Now, what is the government doing at present? Right now, the government is saying that the responsibility, the onus of taming deepfakes, restricting the proliferation of deepfakes, will rest with the platforms. Which are these platforms? These are the social media platforms, X, Facebook, Instagram, etc. But I think it's not enough for just the accountability to stay only with platforms. At some level, enough regulation has to come in place where even creation of such content and dissemination of this content needs to be attacked right at the source level. Now, there are, of course, creative uses of deepfake, advertising, filmmaking. These creative users need a creative license, and that creative license needs to come through a disclaimer. So Meta, thankfully, end of this week, did come out with a policy that any advertiser which is engaging in creation of digitally altered content needs to have a disclaimer. And these are disclaimers that, regular disclaimers, like we see no animals were hurt in the shoot of this video, or smoking is injurious to health. So a disclaimer like that which suggests that these images used, or this voice used, or this video contains digitally altered content. But that just takes care of the advertising part of it. And the government is also telling platforms, when they hold them accountable, that you've got a window of 36 hours. Within 36 hours, take down the content. Right. But we know the rate at which videos go viral, content goes viral on social media. 36 hours is too long.
36 hours, by end of 36 hours, everybody knows, everybody's believed, and the content has moved on. And it is, in people's perception, a true content. I remember when we talked about fake news, we asked people to be more careful of what the origin is, what the source is. At this point, it could be anyone creating, we don't know. It's highly believable. It comes from highly believable sources. What does an average person do?
Right. Average person do? You be skeptical of everything you see on internet. I would say that that's the only way forward from everything, from the content we consume. peruse so many things before we finally arrive at a piece of content we want to watch. It could be an OTT series, it could be a movie. Why? How did we do that? So much available on Netflix, so much available on all OTT platforms. They promote it as the best ever, newest ever, but we don't click on them. We use our minds to sort of calibrate the information coming our way and go for it. So why am I saying all of this? I think we're a long way from finding a good regulatory body for artificial intelligence. Like Elon Musk wants a global regulatory body. That seems like in the distant future. To have a regulatory body within India, if not for artificial intelligence, but for the crimes committed using artificial intelligence, and also stricter laws, more laws. There are more deepfake laws in certain states of the US than there are in India. We don't have clear laws or clear action that needs to be taken, as fast as it's possible with respect to deepfake. So I would say, and also it's a problem we've been facing for a very long time, even without artificial intelligence. There was a time when actresses' photographs, faces used to be superimposed on porn stars' photographs, and that was a big problem.
But it wasn't that believable back then.
Yeah, at that point in time, if you look at those photographs now, they don't look believable. At that point in time, with the kind of technology that we had, it was very difficult to understand. There's so many people who fell for that stuff. So I would say that this is an extension of that. Artificial intelligence makes it that much more difficult. Once upon a time is Adobe Photoshop, which you can easily find a way around. Artificial intelligence is rightly pointing out that much more difficult to figure out what is a fake and what is not.
I think we want to know, where does the accountability lie?
So, Shweta and Krishna, if you permit me, I believe that the rate at which artificial intelligence is evolving, the rate at which technologies like deepfake are evolving, it's going to be absolutely next to impossible for human beings, no matter how large the size of the teams you put at social media platforms, to be able to arrest that problem. So you need technology to counter technology. You need those engines that create deepfake to also be able to detect deepfake. And hence, you cannot just wait for a formal complaint to be launched. You can't wait for a user comment or somebody reposting that content saying that it is fake for it to actually be taken down. At the very source of the platforms itself, their own data source, their own data code needs to employ technologies like deepfake which detect deepfake, and hence as soon as any piece of content goes up, whether it is a text content, whether it is an image, whether it is a video, whether it is a sound, audio track, anything that goes up, the first filter at the platform level that it should pass through should be a deepfake detection engine or an artificial intelligence, digitally altered, created content engine, which gives a red flag to the platform there and then that this is an artificially created content piece, and hence its circulation or its reach could be contained until perhaps human beings or more intelligent machines are able to assess, is that going to be detrimental to society or not if it were to go out. So I think the use of technology at platforms is something that platforms have to do, but I think the onus cannot only rest on platforms, and at some level, more expensive licenses, more KYCs in granting licenses to tools that can help you make deepfake content is also need of the hour.
But before that happened, and meanwhile, we are already facing an onslaught of deepfake news items, videos, photographs. Here's what you can do. If you come across a video, you're not sure if it's true or not, there are 3 tips that we are reading about, researching about. Number 1, try and figure out if the facial expression of a person is out of context, if they're smiling too much, if they're looking differently than what they usually look. Number 2, look for glistening on screen. Is the subject in the video in their actual color? Is the skin color the same as you see it otherwise or not? Number 3, look for lip syncing. Are what they're saying in line with what you're hearing? And finally, look for background details. If you can see blurry pictures, blurry faces, and a background that is not clear, a video is more likely to be fake than true. Those are some of the tips that you can use at your end to figure out if a video is actually a true video, original video, or a deep fake video.